So, how everybody doing today? So, I went and got my vehicle inspected today, and I noticed how dirty my pickup truck was. So I said, well, let me find somewhere to get it washed. So the place I usually go to, they say the computers was down, and I didn't feel like getting out there on my own washing it. So the closest thing that hand wash and then wash the outside and then dry it off and make sure that your rims and stuff clean is carpool. So I pulled up here to get it washed. But anyway, it's something I want to share with you all. And nobody knows anything about this. Me and my wife had a conversation. It was last week. Yeah, last week, her and I had a conversation. And out of the blue, I just asked her, I said, let me ask you a question. I say, do you know anybody that you can think of, friends, family, anybody that carry it the way that we carry it? And she said, no. She said, I don't know not one person. I said, I'm sitting here thinking the same thing. And I say, I don't know anybody that carry it the way that we carry it. And so I say no family member, no friend, nobody. Everybody is, basically for themselves. I don't care what you give them. You better not expect anything back. But anyway, so we, dismissed it. And this past Sunday, I went down to Norfolk, and I was on my way coming back from Norfolk. I went through Norfolk, but I was in Chesapeake, and I was on my way back from Chesapeake, and I got on I went through the 464 tunnel, and 464 tunnel, and I was coming around just before I got on the 64. My truck cut off. Now, mind you, on my way going down there, the truck started up, drove fine. On my way coming back, truck was fine. And all of a sudden, the truck just cut off. So I pulled over on the side of the road, right there where the Hampton Coliseum at, still on the interstate. Tried to start the truck up, the truck wouldn't start. Called my brother-in-law, Bouillon, and I told him what was going on. Now, all this has occurred. It's probably like a quarter to 10 p.m. at night. So I explained to him, and he say if it's the fuel pump or the crank sensor, that truck is not going to start. So we went through some things. So he's trying to walk me through it to try to get the truck started, but we couldn't get it started. And he said, well, usually you can bang on the gas tank, but you'll need somebody in the inside to turn the key while you bang on the gas tank if it's a fuel pump to get it started. So I say, man, but I say nobody here. And so I got out of the truck, went under the truck, banged on the thing, came back in the truck, tried to start it, truck wouldn't start. So I told my brother-in-law, I said, man, I can't get this truck started. So he said to me, yeah, man, it don't look like it's sounding too good to you, because as I was starting, I was letting them listen to it. And I said, man, it get even worse. He said, what? I said, you ain't gonna believe this. I'm 2 hours away. He said, man. So I'm out there in the middle of the highway, and the exit, to walk off the exit, is probably, I'll say about a 3 or 4 mile walk where I'm at. So I said, man, what do you think we're gonna do? He said, well, actually, you're gonna have to get the truck towed back. And I said, man, so I know by now that my wife is in bed, so as I'm talking to him, a vehicle pull up. And he's still on the phone, and I said, yo, See, a vehicle pull up. He said, yeah, I'm still here on the phone. That's what my brother-in-law BJ said. So I walked by there to the vehicle and I said, yo, I said, what's going on? Because actually I thought it was the police or something. Because you know where I don't have that much space where the truck pulled off at. So the guy said, no, I stopped to see that you needed the help. I said, well, actually, if you get inside the truck and I go on to the bottom and beat on it, hopefully we can try to get it started. He said, okay. So he got inside the truck. I beat on it, tried to start it. Tried like 3 times, it wouldn't start. So my brother-in-law BJ say, look, man, when it cut off like that, I don't think you're gonna get it started. He said, so I said, man, I told the guy who stopped, I said, man, I appreciate you stopping, but I can't get it started. So the guy went back and got in his car, his SUV, and he said to me, but what are you gonna do? He said, I can't just leave you right here. And I said, I know, man. I said, he said, actually, if you want me to, how far you home? I said, man, you ain't gonna believe this. I said, I live in Richmond. He said, oh. He said, well, how far that away? I said, 2 hours. He said, I gotta go to work tomorrow, so I can't take you home. I said, well, just take me to the next exit and I'll call my wife. He said, okay. So he said, let me move some stuff around in the SUV and I'll go ahead and take you on up. So I went, locked the doors of the truck, and at the same time, I got over $10,000 worth of appliances on the back of the truck. So I ain't really trying to have the truck towed. So that was another thing that was on my mind as well. So I wound up getting inside the SUV with him, and he said, well, I'm gonna drop you off, but what are you gonna do? I said, well, I'm gonna call my wife and have my wife come get me. So I got my wife on the phone and I said, hey, I'm broke down. She didn't believe me, and I said, listen, the truck ain't gonna start. So she said, okay. She said, let me get dressed. I'm on my way to come get you. So he said, look, I gotta go to work tomorrow, but what I'll do, I can't take you back to Richmond, but I'll go ahead and take you back halfway. I said, okay. I said, now, if you wanna take me back to Richmond, that's up to you. And whatever you charge me, I'll go ahead and pay you. And he said, no, I don't want you to give me nothing. I said, no, man, I can't have you drive me anywhere and don't give you anything. He said, nope, I'm not taking nothing from you. So I called the tow truck and told the tow truck exactly where I was at, and they were like, okay, we know exactly where you at. And said, I could send a truck from Richmond to come down there and get your box truck and bring it back here to Richmond. And he said, do you want to hear the price? I said, you can tell me the price, but it doesn't matter. I just need the truck towed. He said, okay, we on our way. So now he's taking me back, and he said, I tell you what, I'm not going to drop you off a couple of X's up, even though he lived 2 X's up. He said, I tell you what, I'll take you halfway. So I told my wife, I said, he's going to take me halfway. That way, by you driving and he driving, I shouldn't be out there too long. She said, thank you, Lord. She said, tell him thank you. So he wound up taking me all the way to West Point, which was probably a little over an hour. And when we pulled up, we got over. Matter of fact, he was going to still be going. He had like, if I wouldn't have said anything, he probably would have took me all the way home. So we get off on West Point, and I tell him, pull over here to the gas station. And I say, pull up to the pump because I'm going to fill your vehicle up. He said, no, I'm not pulling over to the pump. I told you I don't want anything from you. I said, man, I just can't see you. He said, nope, I'm not taking a thing from you. So he pulled over to the side, and my wife told me, I think she was like 5 minutes away from picking me up. That's how far he actually took me. So He wanted to wait there until she showed up to get me. He wasn't gonna go, but I told him I was good. I said my wife is 5 minutes away. You can go ahead and go. And I'm not gonna lie. I think that was a blessing. He didn't take a dime from me, and he wasn't my color. I don't know him. He wasn't my friend. He wasn't my family. And I'm gonna be honest. I don't have any friends or family member that would have did that for free for me. Nobody that I can name. And I think that was the Lord's way of just saying to me is everybody's not like that. You may not know the person, but everybody's not like that. You know, because when me and my wife were thinking everybody was like that, and then this is another thing. I just took my vehicle to get inspected, and I asked the man how much it was. He told me this one here is on the house. I said, no, man, you're running a business. He said, no, and took the bill, balled it up and threw it in the trash and said, thank you so much. Sure did. So people, everybody not like that. You may have some people that's for self, but the Lord showed me, just like inside the Bible when he said that I have reserved 7,000 that has not bowed themselves down to Baal. So the Lord had to show me. Oh, and the thing about the truck, it was a little hole in the hose of the that goes to the fuel pump, and I've been driving the truck the whole time like that. And this particular incident that happened, it was amazing, something that shouldn't even have happened. But anyway, let me say this to you all. What you make happen for others, God will also make happen for you. Be blessed.